Hey everyone. Hey. Happy Christmas. Happy Edie-miss. It is Edie-miss today. GameHounds podcast. I'm Edie Sellers. There is Nick DiNicola. And we are here for, I believe this is going to be our last show of the year. Possibly. Probably.
Well, I guess we could do something next Sunday because the next Sunday isn't a holiday.
Next
I think
Sunday isn't a holiday,
I think
correct?
last year it was like Sunday was Christmas and then the Sunday after was New Year's
Yeah, yeah.
or something like that. So in
True.
theory we could.
We could in theory. But it's Nick and I both have the next 2 weeks off, and the thing about having 2 weeks off is things can happen in 2 weeks. Like, you have the luxury of being able to say, "Hey, let's go to Santa Cruz for the week."
Oh
You
no, we're not doing that.
No, you're not
Nope.
doing
Nope.
but
We did our
you already did all your
vacation and moving. I am taking advantage of the home. My plan for the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I have 3 goals.
Uh-huh.
Finish Metaphor, Refantasio, which I'm very close to doing.
Right.
Very close being like probably 30 hours.
Yeah.
Play Indiana Jones and play Call of Duty.
You're gonna play Call of Duty.
I
Interesting.
want to because I heard excellent things about this year's Call of Duty. And back before they rose the prices of Game Pass, I signed up for like 3. I bought a whole bunch of cheap year subscriptions and amassed like a 2.5 year subscription to Game Pass. And it costs like $120, but I figured, oh, that's the cost of 2 games.
Right.
So as long as I play 2 big budget games on Game Pass, that pays
You're
for
fine.
itself. Which means, and I was specifically thinking about Call of Duty and Indiana Jones.
Mhm.
So I need to play those games to justify that big expense. Because if I don't,
then you've just wasted a bunch of money. Right. No, I get you. I feel you.
Because I don't waste money on games otherwise.
No, you waste money on games? Hell no.
No, I do not regularly spend $100 buying games that I will never play because I just like them in my collection. What kind of crazy
like on a
person
Steam
would do
sale or
that?
something like that? No, you've played every single game you've ever bought on the Steam sale.
Exactly.
You are frugal. You are an
Shit, that's right.
absolute
There's
game
this.
miser.
No,
So,
put that away.
not
with the Steam.
This is a show I want to keep to about an hour because it is my birthday. I do have. What do you mean we can't? We have to. I have plans. There's birthday plans afoot. I had to like really convince them that it's like, oh no, I have to do my podcast. And the only way that I am like not getting mass kickback from everybody here is that this is giving them the time to go pick up the cake.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, because the thought of them making a cake is terrifying and hilarious at the same time.
Sitcom levels of chaos.
Oh yeah, the only way I would let them make a cake is for me to get to watch it, but not have to eat it.
But you just want to record it.
I just want to watch and see how that goes down, because it would be comedy gold. But
we might need to rethink our baking stream idea. A cooking stream.
Oh, a cooking stream? If it was me telling Chris how to do something, it would be like Discovery Channel worthy of the screaming. It would be like the housewives of Redwood Shores. The amount of screaming back and forth at each other, and him telling me I'm wrong, and me saying, you don't know how to cook. Why are you telling me? And him just doing it the way he wanted to do it, and of course all falling apart miserably, and me saying, I told you so. That's what it would be. It would be hilarious.
I like this idea.
It does sound fun, doesn't it? Sounds fun to watch. I would need a Xanax after that show.
Okay. AC Wraith says that he had his family Christmas yesterday So he now has a bunch of gift
Ooh,
cards for Steam to spend.
nice.
And he got to make cookies, but didn't get the cake his mom made. That's too bad.
Oh, why not? What happened? What did your mom just took it back?
Wait, one seems to have been marked with a toothpick to be eaten by a child, but I didn't know his rules. He discovered the loss moments after I finished chewing. Cookie? Oh no, he was full.
Oh,
That's
he
why I
was
didn't eat the
full.
cake.
Got
That's
it.
good.
All right. All
I'm
right.
not sure what you mean by like one of the cookies.
Like one of the
One of the
cookies was for a specific kid, and so he marked it with a toothpick, and then you didn't realize it, so you pulled out the toothpick and ate it. Is that what happened? Which sounds like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Because the
yeah,
first thing I thought to myself, who puts a toothpick in a cookie for a kid? Isn't that like
yeah.
putting razor blade in candy at Halloween? It's a bad idea. Um, all right. So AC Wraith, just out of curiosity, do you happen to still have the post-it of truth for predictions made for 2024?
Me?
No, I'm asking AC Wraith,
Okay.
our link bitch,
Because
the
I have the
the smartest
post-it.
person on the podcast.
I have the post-it for Elder Scrolls 6 in this end table right here.
What was the post-it for Elder Scrolls 6?
I said it was like 2026 or 7. You said like 25. AC Wraith said 24.
Oh, AC Wraith is wrong on that
No,
one.
no, not AC Wraith. Andrew, Creation Chaos.
Chaos. Okay,
Yeah,
Chaos in 2024.
I think so.
Chaos.
Oh,
If
we
you're
were both.
watching,
And remember, we made those bets before Starfield came out. We all of us, even me, who was like, I'm purposely choosing like 7 years away. I was so far off.
yeah.
I think I
Well,
chose 27. There's no way that game's coming out in 27.
no, no. Well, it might. It
No,
might.
no, no,
You don't think so?
no,
You don't think it's going to be out
no,
in 2 years?
no. They just put out Starfield last year. 2 years from Starfield would be 27, right?
It would be 27. No,
No,
23 years.
7 years. Okay, okay. 7 would be 4 years from Starfield.
Yeah, yeah.
They will announce it for 27. It'll get delayed into 28.
Okay, all right. You need to write that down. We're gonna have another round since clearly nobody won. We all get a do over.
Okay, well, once the cat decides to leave, I'll go dig out the post-it note.
He said it was a frosted sugar cookie. It was the last one I ate it. You know what? Little kids, you snooze, you lose. Life happens that way. Like
Hey,
you need
he
to
said,
understand disappointment early. The sooner you get over disappointment, the closer you are to adulthood.
he also says every
Crushing your
prediction.
dreams being crushed on the regular by other people unintentionally and sometimes intentionally. That is a thing that the earlier they learn that, the better. In my humble opinion. Uh,
Ace Earth also says that every prediction we've made lately has been years away.
let's see. GameHounds 690. We aren't talking about Starfield. Elder
Oh, I
Scrolls
said
6. You said
2029.
2029. I said 2028.
Okay, you know what?
Shunderbox and Goalie said 2026.
Winds of Winter, not in Gurm's lifetime.
Who's
Nick
sure?
says George R. R. Martin.
Oh, no, yeah. Winds of Winter's never coming out. No.
Yeah, and I said yes, but not Dream of Spring.
We think that Dreams of Spring After Death. Okay. But yeah, no, it's not. Neither one of them are coming out in his lifetime. So as long as he's alive, we're still running on that one.
See, I never read the book, so I have no horse in that race.
You've never read the books? You've
Game of
never read
Thrones?
the Song of Fire and Ice?
No. Ice and Fire.
Ice and Fire. You really should read the Song of Ice and Fire. Well, first off, I think that you would like it simply because of the differences that it has from the TV show. Because the differences are really cool.
I know, and I'm sure
there's zombies. There's zombies in
I
it.
know there was zombies in the show too.
No,
But
no. There's zombies in it.
I'm sure
Brienne
it's good.
becomes a zombie. Brienne and Caitlin Stark become zombies.
Brienne? That's not what I heard.
Oh, I take it back. Caitlin Stark becomes a zombie. Brienne becomes her protector.
Hmm. Yeah,
and
I'm
she
sure. I'm
protects
sure
Caitlin
that it's
Stark
good,
zombie.
but whenever I'm looking at like, oh, there's a Kindle sale. Let's see. Oh, it's like all these fantasy books, and I'll see one and go, oh, hey, I've heard really good things about this book, and I see first of a trilogy. Nope.
Oh, really? I will
Immediate nope.
the first thing I do when I'm looking at new books is I will look to see if it is a like looks interesting and then we'll see like book 6 of 11. I'm like, fuck yeah, absolutely 11 or 12, 15 book series. I'm in. Absolutely in.
I spend too much time playing games and watching television and movies
Mhm.
to try to insert a 6-book series into that. I I already have, like, a backlog of comics that I gotta read.
Yeah, true. Um, all right. So AC Ray says GameHounds 685. Edie says Elder Scrolls 6 before Winds of Winter, Song of Ice and Fire. Oh, absolutely. I still stand by that one because Winds of Winter's not coming out in George R.R. Martin's lifetime.
I also
He
I
seems to
also
still be going
do
pretty
think
strong.
I also think that that's I'm with you there.
692. Unity F's around and finds out. Edie says the metaverse will happen starting small. Wow.
Well, clearly not anymore.
Yeah,
The metaverse came and went.
it did. Very much so. GameHound 699. Edie promises episode 1000 unless big life event like death occurs. Oh, yeah, no, I'm definitely we're still on track for that. Um
Good.
let me do the math on that. Did I actually do the math on this? So we are at GameHound 769. So
Nice.
1000 minus 769 equals 231
That's
divided by
5 years?
52. It will take, if we do an episode every single week, no skipping, it will take another 4.5 years for us to get to episode 1000. Unless we want to double up and start like
We could
doing
do
2
that.
shows a week.
We could do that.
I think so.
Oh,
Um,
man.
so
Man.
I am
AC
58.
Wraith Okay, AC Wraith is doing a good job posting all of our old predictions in the chat.
I will be
Um,
62 years old. I will be on the verge of retirement at that point. Okay, so let's see. Next one is Gamehounds 625.
yeah,
Nick
I claim
claims
that
Sony buys Square Enix. Oh, they did not. We have news about that actually did happen this week.
okay, I don't know if I heard about that.
10-cent console in the next decade. I don't know about that. Edie would
I
never
still
own that
think
console. I would never. Well, I don't know now. I mean, because I am sort of dating somebody who's owned by part by Tencent. So
look, China's already they already have all your information. What are you hiding from them?
right, I know.
What are you what are
I
you
just
hiding?
I don't want to have a console. I mean, it's like the difference between them having to work for my personal information and them having like a direct line into my house.
No,
That's a
I give Japan all my information.
But
Sony has
Japan
it
is
all.
Japan. Japan's different than China. Japan doesn't want to see us fail. Japan wants us to succeed, so we will buy more of their video games.
Hmm.
China wants us gone. Absolutely. Would be happier if
No,
this
they don't
whole country just paved
but
over
no, they
in
don't want
asphalt.
us gone because they wanna sell us their consoles.
Well, they would sell us our consoles if we didn't exist, if this wasn't here, we weren't America.
Mm.
Anyway, all right. So
Anyways,
next,
I still think both those
I am
have
seeing.
a
Hold on,
solid chance to happen.
stand by. I'm seeing something. I'm seeing someone hovering. Let me. It looks like has a question. Stand by.
For the listeners, I like to imagine, one of the people in the house just, like, on hover boots, off screen, just hovering there above her head. You muted?
Yeah, realize that. All right.
Okay.
So, let's see. Next is I'm waiting for other stuff. So
That's all he has. But,
while we
yeah,
do this,
you had a whole list of news from this
oh,
year.
I have, believe it or not, you know what? just do this right now. I'm gonna do it because God damn it, we don't do it every single time, and I feel like I need to do it. We're doing the
This
intro.
podcast
Oh,
discusses
yes.
video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 769. We are recording this on Sunday, December 22nd, 2024. Edie Sellers' 50-something birthday. And I'm Edie Sellers. And all right, so getting back to it, because we haven't had an intro music in so long, and I have been updating the show
the
on
podcast feed.
iTunes, right? And it just seems weird that we don't have a start music.
Okay.
So I kind of want to stick that in
You
there.
could just edit that in there, right?
That was the thing. Everybody said, don't edit it, just put it up, because it does take a little time to put some editing together and find some times to edit.
Well, what I mean by that is download Audacity, get the 2 files, and say, "Hey, take this intro music, plaster it onto the front, save it, boom, you're done." I've done enough editing in Audacity to know that.
Phone call on the U.S. downfall is coming from inside the house.
Yeah, that's very true. China doesn't need to do anything. They just
So let's I have put together, and AC Ray, please feel free to continue to add our predictions. We will jump into those predictions every time that you put one up as you find them. But I actually have 2024 in review, which also includes December news, as I said, about Sony and their recent acquisitions that were not Square Enix. So we're just going to go through every single month, kind of interesting and / the biggest news.
Can I got the PlayStation year in review.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see what games? Because it broke down, what your top game of the month was for each month.
Oh, I haven't gotten that from PlayStation yet.
I think if you just Google PlayStation year in review, it gives you a link for wrap up 2024. And if you just sign in,
Was it PlayStation
year in review?
In review. Okay.
Granted, Xbox did one. I think Steam's done one. Everyone's done one. I just spend most of my time on PlayStation, so that's the better indicator of how I spent most of my year. I don't know where your gaming time was spent on the spectrum.
Okay,
of
I found a
consoles.
Reddit about it. There we go.
Just Google
there we go.
Yeah,
it's wrapup.playstation.com.
Yeah.
All right, I am signing in. But first I have to open my...
And apparently I played 31 games this year, which feels like it should be more, but it's actually quite a bit when I break it down.
Sorry, this is just gripping podcasting, I'm sure, as I sign into my PlayStation account. All right. I need to verify my code. God damn it. Which means I have to launch a bunch of stuff and sign into a bunch of stuff, and it's a pain in the ass. Because I'm signing in from not my normal place.
AC Wraith says he posted his Steam year in review. Only 7 games played this year. 0% new because I always wait for sale. A robot named Fight took up a large fraction, and Warframe didn't even rate. What were your number 2 and 3 games?
Warframe didn't even rate?
Okay, wait. I need to check this out. Yeah, he gave his. Andrew gave his. I need to check these out. I should post my PlayStation one.
I am sharing my screen of my PlayStation. Here we go. All right. So no. Sorry.
Roman name fight. Oh, Castlevania Advance Collection. That's a good choice. And Aces and Adventures. I don't know that one. So you played 7 games, but you unlocked 89 achievements.
That's
That's a
impressive.
ton of achievements for 7 games.
I'm still trying to get
And
share
what
the
did
right screen.
what did Andrew play?
There we go. 2024 wrap up. There we go. Here is my wrap up. All right, my 2024 wrap up. You ready? For
Okay.
gamer Edie. Let's go. I have 244 trophies. All right, let's go.
Yeah, first game was Baldur's Gate 3, so
I
was
only
mine.
played 4 games, which is insane. This is such a bad year for me in gaming.
But again,
Baldur's
this is
Gate, of
just
course, that was absolutely no question. Was
but
my
this is
first game.
just
It was my
PlayStation,
biggest game.
right? This doesn't consider Xbox or Steam.
This is not Xbox. This is not PC.
Yeah.
My top 4 games: Baldur's Gate, Helldivers, Dragon
Dragon
Age,
Age
only
and
3 hours of
3 hours of Black Myth Wukong.
But how many hours of this? 195 hours in Baldur's Gate.
Dang.
And really, I've already played 13 hours, and I put Dragon Age aside because I've been playing Diablo.
Mm. Yeah, this doesn't have
Role
any.
players, 83% of my game is in role players.
You have to log on to Xbox too to see how that affects it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, this is the calendar.
Yeah,
So I figured as we go through the news, we can also go through what our top games were.
Okay, all right, let's do that. All right, so there's me in January. So let's. My was playing, had 44 gaming sessions with 113 hours logged, and only 1 game played, and that was Baldur's Gate 3. All right, so what was yours?
My top was also Baldur's Gate. I only had 31 gaming sessions with only 86 hours.
Wow, so I played more in January than you did, and it was 100% Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. But I also played 4 other games.
Yeah, see,
I played 4 games over January.
Baldur's Gate absolutely ruled my world this year. All right, so let's hit the biggest news of the year or at least the notable news items for 2024, starting in January. And we will start in January with the best feel-good story of the year, which is still actually, as far as I'm concerned, an important item because it is the first after decades and decades, and the first and the only after decades and decades. In January, a 13-year-old boy named Willis Gibson beat Tetris. And by beat, I mean that he reached the kill screen of Tetris, which is the final screen. So this happened actually on December 21st in 2023. He became the first person on the NES version of Tetris to beat the game after reaching level 157 and triggering the kill screen. The record playthrough lasted 38 minutes, and it was uploaded to his YouTube on January 2nd, 2024. So he'd actually done it in 2023, but it was recognized and announced in 2024, the first 2 days of January.
Nice.
He released it under the title "The First Time Somebody Has Ever Beat Tetris," and the playthrough is also the highest overall scoring game at Tetris at the time of the recording. So, of course, this received mass media attention from the New York Times. He was interviewed on Good Morning America. So, yeah, in a statement, Tetris company CEO Maya Rogers congratulated him and said that his, quote, feat defies all preconceived limits of the game. So the fact that it was a game that had been out for 30 years and
Longer
took
than
that
that,
long?
right?
When did it come out? When did Tetris come out?
Maybe 35, 40. Mario is copyrighted the year I was born, I believe. Donkey Kong, I mean.
Let's see. Classic Tetris.
So it's got to be older
Tetris
than me.
the NES Tetris video game.
No, it wouldn't be older than me because it came out after
85 is when Tetris came out, but the NES version came out in 89 in North America.
Okay.
So
So 89 is when most people would have been exposed to it.
right. The original Tetris was a published for. Well, the original Tetris was in 85. And
When did it come out on Game Boy?
That's a good question. When did it come out for Game Boy?
That was the first time I played it.
Let's see.
And I think that might be the first time
Let's see if I
most
can
people
find that
played
Game
it.
Boy. When did it
In
come?
that Apple TV Tetris movie, they made a really big deal about including it on the Game Boy, not the NES.
So the NES came out in May of 89. I don't see where it came out for Game Boy. Let's see this. After seeing it on
Google
the
Tetris
Atari
on Game
ST,
Boy.
after seeing it run on the Atari ST, programmer Ed Log petitioned Atari Games to license it for an arcade version and approached Stein with the rights.
Oh, 1989 is the Game Boy version.
Oh, okay. All right, so it came out NES and the Game Boy in the same year.
No, it didn't come out on NES.
It came out on the NES because that's what he beat. That's what this kid beat.
Okay.
On the NES.
Wikipedia has Tetris for Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Okay, there is Tetris NES video game.
Yeah, it's got to be
was published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Okay, I mean there were so many different versions of Tetris.
It had been previously released for Family Computer in December of 88, while Nintendo released the Tetris for Game Boy earlier in 89. So it looks like it came out in November of 89. So it released in June of 89 for the Game Boy and November of 89 for the NES. Which makes sense. It was a Christmas game. So anyway, yes, January 2nd, 2024, a 13-year-old boy from Texas became the first person to beat Tetris for the NES, reaching kill screen.
It says that there were multiple versions on NES. It was an infamous licensing issue.
Yes, it was very much
interesting.
So also in January, tons of layoffs.
Just keep that up.
Yeah. This is definitely something that is
just delete the January part and just keep that up permanently.
So in January, I'm looking at my notes over here. In January, let me move it closer so I'm closer to actually looking at you guys. So in January, Unity, Twitch, and Discord all separately announced layoffs of 1,800, 500, and 170 respectively. Riot Games laid off 530 staff. Microsoft laid off 1,900 staff and the president of Blizzard, Mike Ibarra. Eidos Montreal laid off 100 staff as part of the Embracer Group restructuring. And yeah, so layoffs, lots of them. And then February rolls around and Disney invests $1.5 billion in Epic Games. They don't own Epic completely now, I believe. It is...
No.
It's just they are, I believe, now the majority shareholder in Epic. So
that makes sense because Disney uses Unreal for their... I forget what the name of the dome. They made a big deal when The Mandalorian came out about... No. It's a filming technique. Instead of using a green screen, they have a giant LED screen. I forget what they call it. Yeah. But it's a giant LED screen. And so it's able to...
You know my best friend Kimber?
Yeah.
Her husband is the person who designs and builds the rigs that run the LEDs behind it, that do that virtual reality screen behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Disney uses Unreal to power that.
Right.
So it makes sense why they would invest in it because they're not in... I'm sure the games is like a side thing, but they use Unreal.
They want the Unreal technology is what they wanted.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that nobody's going to jack up that price too soon, too fast.
Yeah.
Control, control, control. Also in February, more layoffs.
You know what?
Sony.
What were you playing in January?
Oh, in February. Okay, January. Okay, we were we'll move to
February.
February. All right. So moving to February. We're moving to February. We are going to.
Just scroll down.
Oh, is it scroll down? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. There we go. February. Baldur's Gate.
Well, Baldur's
25
Gate.
sessions, 65 hours logged, 1 game played, 1 trophy earned.
My top game was Cult of the Lamb at 23 hours.
Uh-huh.
I played 6 games though. I don't know. It doesn't tell me what all those 6 games were. Just the top one being Cult of the Lamb, which is a
You
solid
love that game.
Oh, that game is awesome.
Yeah. So more layoffs in February.
So yeah, I'm developing a cult. I'm building a community as the tech community is falling apart.
True. 900 employees were laid off by Sony Interactive. EA laid off 670 staff. And not a layoff, but a split. Toys for Bob splits from Activision and became an independent company. So that, for all intents and purposes, is not laying off, but getting rid of something that probably would have been a layoff otherwise.
Sure, except I think that works out a lot better for Toys for Bob.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's way preferable than actually losing your job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, more layoffs a month later. So, I mean, hey, can you have a calculator on your computer?
Oh, I do, but that's so many numbers.
All right, it is. I can tell you what the total is for 2024 when we hit the end of 24.
Okay.
All right, so let's move into March. First off, what were we playing in March?
I was defending democracy.
I was saving democracy too. I played 4 times for 15 hours. So, yeah, March. Okay, what was happening in my life at March?
Wait, I played 38 gaming sessions, but only 4 games. So a lot of that was Helldivers.
Yeah, a lot of it was Helldivers. But I earned 13 trophies because I was playing Helldivers for the first time. So, my gaming, you'll see a big difference. Like, this is, 44 sessions for 113 hours, 25 sessions for 65 hours. All of a sudden in March, 4 sessions for 15 hours. That happened in March. You know what happened in March? March 18th. I went to lunch with this very interesting man. That's the day that Chris and I met up for lunch. So my gaming went down a lot. This is the cliff for my gaming happening. Because work was kind of going nuts, number one. Meanwhile, personal life going absolutely batshit crazy at this point. So, but speaking of batshit crazy, let's talk about what happened in the video game industry in March. First off, Embracer sold off Saber Interactive. Well, really, they didn't technically sell it off per se. They divested of it, and it split off. Let's see, what was it? There we go. Divested and a portion of its studios, they divested from it and a portion of its studios to a private mystery investor for $249 million. Which is essentially the same thing as
was? Did we ever find out who that investor was?
Still don't know. Still don't know. Still a mystery investor. Also in March, Sega sold Relic to a mystery investor. So yeah, Relic Entertainment was sold by Sega to an unspecified investor. 240 employees were laid off across multiple Sega studios. And speaking of which, more layoffs. 240 across multiple Sega Europe studios. In addition, Sega of America laid off 61 employees across its QA and localization departments. And Activision QA workers. Did I not put this in there? Activision QA workers unionized. So
That's
that was
good.
kind of a big thing. I know I thought I put that in there, but I guess I didn't save. But yeah, at that time, in response to much of the layoffs that were happening for the previous 2 months, and the fact that Activision was kind of dicks when it came to Raven Interactive, their QA company, and a bunch of other like in-house QA people, they were notorious assholes. So they tried everything to union bust short of actually coming into people's homes and putting guns to their head, telling them don't go union. But despite that, Act 600 Activision QA workers united under the Communication Workers of America, creating the largest video game union in North America. And I can't believe I did not put this down
And
because they're
I
kind of
remember
huge.
when Microsoft was trying to buy Activision, they put out a whole full page ad in like the New York Times or
Yep.
something that was like, we have the Communications Workers of America, the big union, agrees with us because we will recognize unions. And the last I heard, the QA team, I think maybe it wasn't Raven, but it was one of those Blizzard QA teams, was suing like Microsoft or Activision for like
Not recognizing.
dragging their feet and basically like not negotiating or negotiating in bad faith in order to purposely slow things down.
Any company that says they're all pro union is lying. They're lying. It's a big fat lie.
But also, okay, about Saber Interactive, bit anticlimactic, but according to Wikipedia, it was sold to Beacon Interactive.
Beacon Interactive
I have no idea who Beacon Interactive is.
still
Apparently,
remains a mystery investor. Just because it has a name on it, it's still a mystery investor.
it's a company owned by Karch, Karch. That name is in the Wikipedia article as if it should mean something, but I have no idea what it means.
Why does that name sound familiar? That may come up later. That may come up later. Karch sounds familiar for something that I wrote today. All right, so April. Let's move on to April. What did April look like for the Edie? Well, April Helldivers! One session for 11, no, 2 sessions for 11 hours.
April was also a rough month for me. I don't know what was going on in April.
Did I play? It says 20 games played.
You must have like turned on and off a bunch of games.
Maybe 20 games played, but I only played for 11 hours for 2 sessions. That's weird. Yeah, I played 2 games in February, but yeah, that's weird.
In here,
What happened there? So, what was yours?
Okay, do you see it? Is mine up?
There's yours.
There we go.
Dragon's Dogma.
That was the start of a good time. You can already see a little spoiler for me, but that was when Dragon's Dogma 2 came out. I only played it for 3 sessions though. Oh wait, this says I played 57 games.
Yeah.
There's no way that's accurate.
That
4
says
games,
4 games.
6 games.
There might be something wrong with their numbers in that month.
But 3 gaming sessions for Dragon's Dogma. Well, April seems to be a little iffy, but the point is Dragon's Dogma 2 came out, and that game kind of consumed my gaming time for the next while.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, that
so
game's awesome.
in the news, first off, April, Nintendo discontinued their online services for the 3DS and the Wii U. The Wii U, not so much of something to care about, but the 3DS, that's kind of like, feel like playing taps for that,
It was a good console that was kind of the first time that Nintendo really had a bunch of digital games for sale.
Right. So it was definitely a moment to notice, not so much for the Wii U, but for the 3DS. Also in April, Embracer continued to flail as best as it could to keep from dying. And so far, so good. So far, it looks pretty good. But at this point, it was still iffy. And the this was kind of the big news for Embracer of the Year, is that that was the month that they split into 3 divisions. One of if you could characterize those, I forget the names of those 3 divisions, it was like Middle Earth and Company, something
Yeah.
else, and something else. And the way I would describe these companies
Okay.
is they were it was marry, fuck, kill.
I can tell you. I can give you a okay. Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends.
And Friends, right.
This will be used for AAA game development and publishing for its major IP properties.
Right, that's marry.
This includes Crystal Dynamics, Dambuster, Eidos Montreal, Tripwire, Warhorse Studios, and some other and some publishers like Dark Horse Comics.
Right, right. That's the marry.
Yeah. The Asmodee Group is the publisher of board and card games.
That's the kill.
Coffee Stain and Friends is the publisher for indie games, including
That's
Coffee Stain, THQ Nordic, Ghost Ship, Tuxedo Labs, Amplifier Games,
Yep.
and yeah, that's it.
So,
And
yeah, I
they
mean,
all split off into 3
right.
different
Marry, fuck,
companies.
kill, gold, silver, bronze, however you want to characterize it. It was essentially the Middle Earth was everything we absolutely positively will not lose. We don't want to get rid of. This is the stuff we're actively putting money into because they're going to produce AAA games that make a lot of money. Coffee Stain is kind of
the
like,
Moira
you
and
know, maybe we
Shite
could split some of this off. These are the things that we could
Do you
sell
really
for a
want
right
to call?
price.
Do you really want to call Middle Earth Enterprises Mary when they come out with Gollum?
Yeah,
There is a Moira and a Shire like cozy game that are apparently much better received.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah,
let us never forget Gollum.
please. Oh god, that game was something special, man. Anyway, so that was the big news for for April and for Embracer of the Year, was that
Yeah.
they did this move, and I think it was a smart move. I think that it ruffled a lot of feathers within the stable of titles and stable of companies at Embracer, because all of a sudden you knew right away if your company was valued and if your company wasn't valued. If you were like, okay, here's where you're safe, your job is safe, your job is maybe safe, your job is not safe. And that would absolutely upset people, and it did, rightfully so. But I think from a business standpoint, it was the right thing to do.
I mean, the company now definitely is more stable. I still think that CEO should be gone. I still think he's a terrible leader who made a bad decision and should be punished for that bad decision. But of course, that never happens to CEOs. So,
No.
what are you going to do? I also think it's a little foolish to name one of your whole companies Middle Earth Enterprises, since The Lord of the Rings, and I've said this before, is just not an IP that anyone really cares about beyond the books and the Peter Jackson movies.
True.
The Amazon show was like started big and it's just like slowly going down. All of the various games they come out with some have been better received than others, but none of them really broke out except for Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of
But
Mordor.
they're not really doing anything with that.
No.
And there was like an animated movie that Warner Brothers made just recently in order to hang on to the IP, like the movie rights. But like that is not an IP that you can wring. Peter Jackson wrung everything out of it. The Hobbit movies proved that. Like whatever creativity and like
you're not going to get any.
storytelling.
It will take another 20 years for everything to get old enough that they want to remake it.
Yeah, but even then, all they're going to do is just remake Lord of the Rings again.
It's true. How many times can you remake Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You just remake it with the only thing that's going to make it is the new technology. Whatever new technology that happens, they're going to be making Lord of the Rings.
It's going to be like VR haptic movie
right,
theater
absolutely.
feedback. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think Embracer is hanging too much on Lord of the Rings, considering it's an IP that is nowhere near as valuable as it costs to use.
Right. Also, as part of that deal is Embracer did announce that they intend to release Embracer Group onto the Stockholm NASDAQ within the next 2 years to be a publicly traded company. Also, then all right, so that was April. Surprisingly, was there any no big oh,
Yeah,
more
I-
layoffs. Take-Two forgot
oh
to
my
run that.
God.
More layoffs. Take-Two announced plans to reduce its workforce by 5% by December. So they didn't actually lay people off, but they announced they were going to have a lot of layoffs. 5% of the company for a company the size of Take-Two is a lot of human beings. So we knew there were more coming. So April. So let's go into
AC
May.
Ray says there's still plenty of stuff from the Similarian, but it's stuff that a majority
Silmarillion.
of people don't know enough to care about.
Yeah, the Silmarillion really didn't have the same sticking
Silmarillion.
power. Yeah. Which is a great book. I mean, it's fantastic, but
It, from what I understand, it's like a story of myths,
mhm,
right? It's like kind of like you're reading a textbook of fantasy myths, of fictional
right,
myths.
right. It's essentially the backstory.
But Lord of
Um,
the Rings is just like a classic hero's journey, and
mhm.
there's something very
It's the
universal
equivalent
about
of
that.
House of the Dragon. It's like
What?
the
House?
backstory.
Oh, backstory. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah,
let's talk.
May.
Let's look at
Oh,
May.
this is me. Um,
Oh, okay. Let's
still
do.
a lot of Dragon's Dogma.
Uh-huh.
24 hours into it. That's the only game I played in
Okay.
May.
Let's add me in there. All right. I am okay.
No games. Now, again,
That's busy.
this is only PlayStation. This doesn't consider
It's
Xbox
only
or
PlayStation.
Steam.
No, no, I will tell
You
you right now,
you
I
have
didn't
a
play any games. I didn't play any
oh
games.
really?
None. I did not touch a game in May.
Okay,
Like I
okay.
said, when I hit I hit that cliff all the way. It wasn't just like oh, I'm just gonna slowly work my way down this cliff. No, I jumped off the cliff and it was a straight downfall. It was a dead drop. So yeah, no, I did not play anything, any games in May. That's the first time in probably 27, 28, maybe even close to 30 years that I did not play a single game in a month.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a very, very, very stressful time at work. And then there was this whole, like you remember back in May, May was May was when I was still hiding my presence in this house. When I was like
Oh, that's right.
pulling out of the driveway to drive around the block, to park around the block, and to sneak back into the house. Oh yeah, it was a fun time. I was playing lots of games, but none of them were video games.
Yeah. No, you were playing a lot of stealth games.
I was a lot of stealth games. Oh yeah. Ding 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 ding. May in news. My more bad news for the industry. First off, Microsoft closed Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog Studios, and Roundhouse Studios was merged into ZeniMax Online. And that was a big one because Arcane Austin, they'd released what was the big game that was actually
Redfall.
Redfall, right.
They had just put out
They just
Redfall.
put out Redfall and Redfall it fails, but Alpha Dog had put out something good.
I don't remember Alpha Dog.
Or was it Roundhouse that put out something he put out something really good that was really well received, and everybody's like, "Why are you batching them up with Arcane that had done such a"
Mighty Doom?
No, was it Round
The Alpha Dog in 2023 made a mobile version of Doom called Mighty Doom. And then who's the other one?
Roundhouse Studios. Roundhouse Studios, game development studio by Hugh continued its Human
Praise?
Head
No, that's Human Head. Oh wait. Is Human
Studios.
Head Roundhouse?
Yeah, Roundhouse Studios was a game development studio based in the US and incorporated in 2019. It was a continuation of Human Head Studios.
Oh, okay.
When that
So in
studio closed down in 2019, immediately
2019
following the release of Rune 2, it had the same staff and was based in the same office. The new studio was established with the help of Bethesda Softworks.
So then did Roundhouse Studios even release
No,
anything?
Roundhouse made Redfall.
No,
Arcane
no.
Austin.
Arcane did Redfall.
It's crediting Roundhouse with.
They might have worked on it because they're part of Bethesda or ZeniMax, but Arcane. Redfall is Arcane's baby.
They did Deathloop.
No, they didn't do
No.
Deathloop. Redfall, Deathloop is Arcane's baby.
Right, something. Deathloop did Arcane did Deathloop. Then they did Redfall. And they announced Marvel's Blade.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where they are
And
now.
then they got shut down in May.
No, Arcane Leon is making Marvel's Blade. Arcane Austin is the one that worked on Redfall and was closed.
Okay. Well, either way, I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing this up with some other shutdowns.
When you have big studios like that, all the developers kind of work on everyone else's games.
Mhm.
So I can imagine Roundhouse probably was just doing some work for everyone else.
Right, and must be mixing this shuttering of studios with some other shuttering of studios in which there was a company that didn't deserve to be there. So anyway, also in May, Atari acquired Intellivision. I don't know, did we ever talk about this, or did we not know about this?
I don't remember talking about this.
Atari SA acquired Intellivision brand and the games catalog.
Oh, that's kind of funny. If you
think about historic gaming, that's kind of one of the biggest moves that's happened.
That's like
decades.
Nintendo buying Sega.
Exactly. And all of the games, like the Nintendo buying Sega's catalog.
Huh.
It's kind of huge for legacy gaming that now Atari has Intellivision's catalog. So, moving on to June. We are now halfway through the year, June of 2024. What were you playing, Nick?
I was playing Dragon's Dogma.
Well, no, you played 2 other games as well. But you only
Yes.
played 20 hours of it. You were winding down on Dragon's Dogma, that's for sure.
So yeah, 20 hours there, 24 hours, and then 29 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So what was I playing? I was playing Helldivers. 0 gaming. No, there we go.
No,
1
gaming
gaming section. 2
I like
hours.
where is it? Oh, AC Wraith says Edie's Steam replay only has entries for July and September, and Helldivers 2 is the top game for both those.
Yeah. Once I stopped playing Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate. I had other stuff to do.
You're just like, nothing else grabs me.
Yeah, nothing's making me jump on anything. All right, so in news in June, Take-Two finalized its takeover of Gearbox Studio, which had already been initiated in 2023, but it was the final handoff. It was actually finalized. And then Microsoft closes Tango Gameworks. Is that the one that shouldn't have done it? What did Tango Gameworks make?
They did Hi-Fi Rush.
That's the one I was thinking of. That they closed Tango, and everybody's like, they don't deserve to be closed. Hi-Fi Rush was a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and I remember that right here. Remember this one for later, because that's going to come back up at a later time. Also happened in June, more layoffs. Who else lost their jobs? Sumo Group laid off nearly 250 staff. Take-Two Interactive closed Intercept Games. Yeah, more layoffs going on in June. Certainly not as much as there had been earlier in January and February, but the blood was still being let across the industry. All right, July.
AC Wraith has some clarification. The Steam replay July has Helldivers. Manor Lords was your September game on Steam. Little
Yeah,
bit of a tease for September coming up.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. What were you playing in
In June?
June?
No, June was more
Sorry, we already talked about
May,
June. No,
June,
we're June.
July.
No, July. We're in July.
July is the Dealfield Chronicles. Remember, I had
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about that.
But you also played 8 other games as well for 33 hours.
Yes.
So that's not too bad.
No, by that point I had finished Dragon's Dogma, and so I
And
was
you were
just kind
playing
of
very short sessions, 22 sessions for 33 hours. So you were playing like an hour, just about an hour in each session. Just a few minutes over an hour each session.
I could see that.
A lot of short, sharp shocks.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was playing Baldur's Gate.
You went back to Baldur's Gate.
I went back-
You know
I
what?
think it's because I played
I'll
it with
bet you that was when we played.
Yep, that was when we played.
One gaming session before.
was 4 hours, and I think that was you and me playing together and running around naked in Baldur's Gate.
Look, man, my lizards just gotta let it loose. I got
Yeah.
2 tails, if you know what I mean.
Oh, so messed up. Anyway, in July, for news items, the International Olympic Committee,
Oh, I never saw what happened with that. Like,
well, they approved it. The
that
International
means
Olympic Committee approved the formation of the Olympic esports games for 2025 in Saudi Arabia. So it's going to be in theory next year in Saudi Arabia. And I would imagine that Saudi Arabia has more than enough money to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, I remember reading an article about the games that were included. None of them are the games you would think about, right? Like, there's no Counter-Strike, no League of Legends, no
What games would it be?
It's like all vast corporate conspiracy of like a company that made a game specifically to be an Olympics esport, and like Saudi Arabia gave money to a developer to make an esports game that like, here's an archery game.
Yeah,
It's like
IOC intends to keep first-person shooter games out of Olympic esports series in the future because they were deemed too violent. Despite Fortnite having been included in the 2023 event in a specially modified format with targets, they added a default format to Fortnite involving shooting other characters would not be considered. Future game editions could include Rocket League, Street Fighter series, and NBA 2K series. So that's why they're not
we don't
a typical game, because they don't want people shooting people.
But like, we don't even have a list of the games.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what games will be played.
It says the inclusion, this I'm reading from the Wikipedia article. However, the inclusion of esports as a sport in the main Olympic Games is not likely in the immediate future, despite having medal status at the Asian Games and the Southeast Asian Games, as well as various esports world championships being held for traditional sports, such as the e-sailing world championship, with the IOC's Pereira saying they're two different worlds.
Okay, so I found a list that on Acer's website, of all places. And they say that the games to be played in the Olympic esports are kind of all meant to be reflections of actual Olympic games.
Right. That makes sense.
But as a result, you get, for archery, tic-tac-bow. What is tic-tac-bow? Don't worry about it. For baseball, WBSC Baseball Power Pro. What is that? Who knows? Bicycle raced, Zwift, ZWIFT.
If we can get our hands on these games and actually get good at them,
for
chess, we could be Olympic athletes.
Chess.com.
We could actually get a gold medal.
Dance is Just Dance.
Oh, of course. That makes sense.
And the one that actually makes a lot of sense for motorsports, for racing, is Gran Turismo 7.
Good.
But then they have a sailing one that's called Virtual Regatta. Taekwondo is Virtual Taekwondo. For tennis, it's Tennis Clash. It's a bunch of games. And this is what that article I read was talking about. It's a bunch of games that like don't actually have esports communities. They were just games developed on the dime of the IOC to be part of the IOC Olympic Games. So
Got
instead
it.
of taking the actual stuff that's popular and has a community and making an Olympic event around it, kind of like how the actual Olympics works, they were just like, hey, let's pay someone to make a game that's like the Olympic Games, and then we'll make a competition around that. They
Oh,
might
the
they may as well
IOC.
have just put in like Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
They might as well just taken money and lit it on fire.
Yeah.
In
I will watch this, but I fully expect that to be a disaster.
Oh, it's going to be a disaster. Blizzard employees in July finally united. And that
Good.
was why I knew I had something there. So after the Activision created the Activision QA testers and other employees that became part of the union back in what month was it? Like March or
June?
February?
I think maybe March or June.
No, it was March. The
Mm.
600 Activision QA workers unionized under the Communications Worker of America to make the largest video game workers union. They got even more people in them in July when 500 Blizzard Entertainment employees unionized under that same union of the Communication Workers of America. Also, this is, July was the month that the industry pushed back. The industry was pushing and the workers pushed back. Not only after the first unionization that happened a couple of months earlier, then this 500 employees now almost doubling the amount of people that were in the union. SAG-AFTRA went on strike, and this included the voice actors. And they specifically, it was the voice actors because they failed to reach an agreement with multiple studios over the use of AI voice acting.
Was that just the
in video games.
games, or was that when they striked the movie studios too? Did that
No,
whole
this
thing
was
happen this year,
after
or was that last year?
the movie studios had been settled, but
Okay.
they'd settled it at the expense of voice actors and AI, and the voice actors part of their union was like, "Fuck this. No, we're
Mm.
not coming back. You need to start talking to us about our use of our voices with AI," because obviously that whole guy putting in Scarlett Johansson's voice without her permission, or was it ChatGPT or something like that?
Yeah, ChatGPT.
Yeah, that put the fear of God in a lot of people because they saw and heard exactly how effective it was and how easy it was to do. And that right there all of a sudden rocked the industry in a way that it has never been rocked. I mean, the voice acting industry in a way that it has never been rocked before. All of a sudden, everybody realized that they were easily replaceable by an AI. So that happened. Also July, more layoffs. Bungie laid off 220 staff. Let's see. What else? Yeah, that was just it. The unionization, the Saudi Arabia. Yep, yeah. Bungie laid off another 220 staff. So, still more people losing their jobs. All right, August. We are now more than halfway through the year. How are you doing in August?
I was continuing my adventures in miscellaneous games and played a bunch of Lost Eidolons. 40 hours into Lost Eidolons, and I never actually finished it.
Oh,
I just
really?
kind of fell off and started playing other things.
Wow.
Which is interesting. If it's like for a game that was like pretty good but not great, I'm surprised that I put 40 hours into it. Although I,
Me,
I have a tendency to like let games run while I go and do other things. So let's say maybe 30, 35 hours.
so anybody want to take a bet on what I was playing?
Helldivers. No.
August also
More
another
stealth gaming.
challenging month for the Edie. All right. So in August for the games industry, though, first off, in my opinion, one of the biggest stories of the year, and it's a really heartbreaking story. GameStop shuttered Game Informer,
Yes.
which had been around for 33 years. Honestly, doesn't surprise me because GameStop has been in its final death throes for at least the last decade.
GameStop has been a fucking zombie for the past decade.
It just
I
won't
don't
die.
know how. It
I
is
don't either. I don't know how Game Informer lasted as long as it did. What surprises me is that no one bought Game Informer.
yeah. I mean that just kind of shows what the media economy is like
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
That, you know, hey,
I
you
can't
have this famous
I would have
website with a lot
known
of
that this
history
was going
around
to
it.
happen to journalism, if I would have known that this would happen to journalism and to radio, I never would have gotten involved in them.
Mm,
I mean, when I started as a journalist, newspaper reporter was a job you could live on. It was well paid, really great hours. You did interesting things, and you could make a lot of money doing it. You could live, you could buy a house on it. That's when I started. And by the time and radio, when I got into radio was something you could literally make millions of dollars at.
yeah.
Terrestrial radio.
I mean that's just, and this is like a much larger issue. The kind of slow decay of like local everything,
Yeah.
and has all of society kind of slowly gets amassed into these tech corporations. And so you have Google, Amazon, Facebook, like all trying to control these legacy sites, and so everything kind of gets funneled into these like 6 mega tech corporations
Yep.
at the death of everything local.
Right.
And that's a greater issue for America in the next several years.
Yep.
But yeah, we definitely felt a lot of it this year.
Also in August, remember you talked about Crafton? Crafton revives Tango Gameworks. Remember I said
That
remember
is
this
good
later?
news.
Yeah.
That was very good news.
Yeah. All right, September.
Oh, I also want to say, AC Wraith says that you had 13 sessions of Helldivers on Steam
That's why I
during
had
the year. No, nothing on PlayStation, but you had 13 sessions of Helldivers on Steam.
Yeah, that makes sense because that was when I finally got Chris to start playing Helldivers.
Ah.
And I had to play it. I had to buy it on Steam because PC, I'm over here. I didn't have my console here at the time.
He also has a link to a Webbush. GameStop has virtually no chance of returning to profitability in its core business.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that 15 years ago. So that's not.
It's not new. It's just it's a wonder that company is still around.
Exactly. You can't count out Embracer when
Don't know
GameStop is
how
still
they
around.
do it. Yeah, that's true. Okay, next bet. How long until GameStop goes bankrupt?
That's a good question. I'm going to say GameStop will go under in 2027. There you go. That's my prediction. When do you think
2027?
GameStop will go under?
I mean, I want to say like 2030. I want to say they are just gonna limp along. They are going to be that zombie in The Walking Dead that's just like leaning against the car. Its legs are decayed. It's just a rib cage and just like a little
It's
bit of flesh on
like
the head going.
the head and one arm just scraping along, going.
They're gonna have like one store open like Blockbuster did for a while.
Maybe. All right. So you're going to say 2030. AC Wraith, do you want in on this? Do you want to
Yeah.
predict how long it's
AC
going to
Wraith,
take for
AC
GameStop
Wraith
to
also
back?
said that a week before Market Watch and Webbush put out that article, there were talks online about the GameStop stocks
Oh,
soaring
yeah.
after
You
an
know what?
influencer tweet.
Honestly, the only reason I think GameStop is open now, as long as it is because of that, what was it, Diseased Kitty or something like that, Distressed Kitty, the Wall Street
Yeah,
Bets
yeah,
Reddit group,
yeah.
who they sold short on it, and then it
No, they
went
didn't
up.
sell short. That's the opposite.
Oh, no, they didn't sell short. They bought it and forced all of the short
Short
sellers
sellers to lose a
to
bunch of
have
money.
to sell at this massive loss, and they made so much money.
Roaring
Um,
Kitty.
Roaring Kitty, that's what it was. Yeah, Roaring Kitty probably extended the life of GameStop for at least maybe 5 or 6 years, just simply because the Wall Street Bets people still remember GameStop, and they're watching very carefully for Wall Street to sell short on it, because if they do, they're going to jump on it again. So nobody can sell short on it. If they do, too many of them, then GameStop's gonna get to come back again. Their
Yeah.
stock is going to soar. So anyway, bottom line, September. What were you doing in September?
September, I was playing Black Myth Wukong.
Okay.
Wukong
Ah,
came out,
yeah.
40 gaming sessions,
64 hours,
64 hours.
35, only 35 of which was Black Myth Wukong. So the other 29 of it is what? Do you know?
I
Have
don't
any idea?
remember. I wish that I could see like an actual list of stuff that I opened because
Yeah.
honestly, I don't remember playing 7 different games in September.
Yep.
I wonder if that counts purchased games. Like
I don't
stuff that
think
I
so.
bought on sale and
No, because
downloaded.
that's just a little over half of that 64 hours was spent in Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you have close to 30 hours.
Oh, I'll bet Black Myth Wukong was the game I had the most hours in.
Right,
I'll
30
bet you I was still probably playing a little bit of Lost Eidolons.
probably. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
All right.
know.
Now, for me, anyone want to guess for September?
AC Ray says you played Mana Lords a bit on Steam. I'm gonna guess Helldivers again. God damn.
Sorry. But in the industry, it was very active. This in September, Nintendo filed the lawsuit. The lawsuit heard round the world against Pal World developer Pocket Pair for not the things that you might think it would be, but for things related to it, essentially trying to stop Pokemon with guns from continuing because Pokemon with guns was so freaking successful.
Yeah, and I think I would hope that this is a turning point for Nintendo. Where like people now between this and their like really aggressive shutdown of ROM sites this year, I
Mhm.
feel like they're really taking a villainous turn.
Yeah. The
Like,
people realize they're not the nice guys that they'd like.
yeah, it's like, hey, no, Nintendo's actually you're kind of a shitty company.
Yeah, you are kind of a shit. You're kind of the shittiest of companies because you wrap yourself in this Willy Wonka, we're all fun and games and Kirby's so cute and we love it, people, and the whole smiling characters, and it's like, you know what? You're kind of dicks. You're kind of
Yeah.
evil.
Especially
You're
going
still
after
a
Power
corporation.
World, with like patents that were amended after Power World's release in order to make them more like the game. It just feels petty
Mhm.
and hateful.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
feels like a company. And like Nintendo is known, the reputation is like, oh, we're an innovative company. We don't rest on our laurels. We're always trying new things. This feels like a company that
Was resting on
for
its laurels and
decades
somebody else did
for
something.
decades refused to do anything interesting to Pokemon.
Right.
And the moment someone else comes along and does, they try to sue to oblivion.
Right. It's like, oh, fair market. It's like, oh, capitalism. We love capitalism. Capitalism, great. Oh, somebody's competing with us. Let's shut them down.
Yeah. We missed a big news story. We're in September, right? So we were in August. We missed the big story from August.
Which was?
Something came out in August. Possibly one of the biggest media disasters in entertainment history. What comes to mind? What comes to mind when I say flop? When I say bomb?
Concord?
Massive.
Concord
came out August 23rd.
You're right. Concord.
And so it was shut down. It probably lasted into September. But September is when Concord was shut down 2 weeks after release.
Yeah, that one's going to be legendary for, it would probably be more legendary had more people play Concord.
But I feel like it's now
like Redfall was a legendary flop because everybody played Redfall and realized it was crap. The thing is that Concord was the opposite. It was a solid game, but nobody played it.
But I feel like it's now become like a buzzword, a joke. It's like, oh, are you going to Concord it? Oh, is this the next Concord?
Yeah.
If anything, Concord is the best thing to happen to Redfall.
Yeah, true. Everybody stopped talking about what a flop Redfall was. Was that all that I had for going on in 2024 in September? Yeah, pretty much that was it. September, Pal World got sued. That was about it. Now, October. What were you doing?
October? Metaphor. Wait,
Ooh.
I only played Wukong for a month?
Yep. You didn't play for very long.
No, I beat that game.
Right, but you beat it rather quickly.
Yeah, I put I think my total.
You can add the 2 months there. Add the 2 months up.
Well, I can just go back to here. Yeah, Wukong, 67 hours. Baldur's Gate, 100. Dragon's Dogma, 97. Metaphor, 91, which is actually past that now. Yeah.
All right. Nope. Back.
Too far.
There we go.
So yeah, that is when I started playing Metaphor, which I'm still playing now.
Yeah, you're still playing a lot of it.
This fucking game.
Now, for me,
but if I can take a moment to say something about Metaphor, that game continues to be really good because I feel like it's structured almost like a TV show. Every time it builds to these moments that just feel like it throws dynamite into its plot. It's like, hey, you spend like 10 hours playing and you kind of have a sense of, oh, this is where the game is going. And then it just kind of throws a bomb and blows up everything. You're like, oh my fucking God, what is going to happen now? And then it kind of settles into a routine and you're like, okay, I'm going to go about my daily life again and start preparing for this next big event. And then you get to the big event and it's just chaos, twists. And you're like, what the hell is going to happen next?
This is very Persona, where it just goes deeper and deeper and the twists and the turns. And you think you're coming to the end and you realize you're nowhere near the end.
Yeah, it's very good about that. So every time I spend like a bunch of hours going to dungeons and grinding out levels and stuff. And every time I kind of get to a point where I think, okay, maybe I'm getting a little over it, something happens in the story that like completely reinvigorates the whole story.
Okay, you want to guess for October for me?
Okay, October was not that long ago. But I'm going to say that you were probably still playing a bunch of games with Chris on PC, so I'm going to say no games.
Black Myth Wukong! I played 3 hours of it in 2 gaming sessions.
Which I was close. If your top game of the month was 3 hours.
3 hours. That was my only game of the month, was 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours over 2 sessions.
Yeah, so an hour and a half each. But then remember, keep in mind, I was mostly here, and both my consoles, including my PS5, were at my house.
That's
And I
that's
was
what I
spending
mean.
more time here than I was there. So
That's why I thought you had no games, because I figured, okay, you're probably playing more things on Steam with Chris.
yeah, yeah. And I'm sure AC Wraith will be able to tell me what I played on it. Concord's secret level episode is the best trailer for the game.
I still haven't watched any of those episodes. I gotta get around to that.
Yep. So, in news, however, there was quite a bit of news in well, a little bit of a news. First off, actually, October was kind of a slow month for news. I don't know if we talked about either one of these, but Nintendo opened a museum in Kyoto.
Hmm.
Its official museum, and also launched their own music streaming service.
Oh, I
That
remember reading about that.
yeah, it's a streaming service that features Nintendo soundtracks. Interestingly enough, that's 2 whole months where no big announcements for layoffs had occurred.
Well, this was October. What games came out in October? Oh, I think that was when Call of Duty came out.
Mhm.
And like apparently did very, very well.
Mhm.
Kind of reinvigorated the franchise, which kind of speaks well for this franchise going forward under Microsoft,
Yep.
under Xbox.
So nothing on Steam for the rest of the year, he says.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense because I am playing PC games, but it's being placed on Blizzard, no, Battle.net, because I'm playing
Yeah.
Diablo currently.
Silent Hill 2 came out on October.
Mhm.
Oh, and
Yeah.
we also missed a big game that came out in January. Another big disaster. I believe it was January. No, in February was Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League,
Oh god.
which is kind of fascinating that this year has had like two of the biggest live service flops in like the past several years.
Right, and I think that it's actually a really good thing because I think it finally, if you can call 2024 anything, it was the year that live service, I think they finally got the message that nobody wants live service.
Well, they finally got the message that like it's hard to break into. Like
Right,
everyone's investing all this money
right.
into it, but you're
The
investing all
downside
this
was is
money
that
into something very, very risky.
right, but the other side of it is that the thing that gave them a hope is Helldivers. Is they actually got an example of what good live service looks like,
Yeah,
what it is. You can't
that's
just
a very
shovelware
different.
it out for us
That's a
and
very
expect
different
make money.
type of live service game.
It is, it's a
It
good
also
one.
didn't cost like 200, 300,
Right,
400 million dollars.
right. They're just it's a craftily made and incredibly well supported.
Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, 95% off
It's
on
still
Steam.
not worth it, and still not worth it. Alright, so we are now into November, last month. Let's
November,
look what you did.
Metaphor,
Yeah, I think that that's
46,
probably gonna be that way for the rest of the year for me.
46 hours into Metaphor.
Yeah.
I believe, is that the most I played any month? 46, 49, 12, 24, 42. That was close. No, I put 77 hours into Baldur's Gate in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, January was like my
Baldur's Gate was an absolute
Baldur's Gate
juggernaut
month.
for every even though it came out in 2023, it was a juggernaut for 2024.
Well, it came out in 23, but I remember I played not Front Mission, Armored Core 6 and Alan Wake 2 before I started playing Baldur's Gate.
Right, because you knew that
I knew that it was so long. I wanted to get like the other games I was excited to play
you still haven't finished
out of
it.
the way. I want to. You know
You
what?
have
Maybe
to. I
this
still haven't
January
finished it.
I'll go
I'm down
back
to the
to it.
last hour of gameplay on that thing.
So yeah,
Alright, so, for me, you wanna guess?
I don't fucking know
Oh,
at this point.
this should be easy. This
Okay.
should be very easy for November.
Last month. Oh, Dragon Age.
13
Okay.
hours out of
Okay. Good.
16.
Good.
So November we had my cake just arrived. November, you screwed up. Why? What happened? You got the
Oh
wrong
no.
cake?
What?
Remember how I said it seemed really expensive?
Oh my god! Holy crap! It's Cakezilla.
What?
Oh my god! He got the world's biggest cake.
Can you show it? Can you bring it around in front of the camera?
It's enough for like 50.
It's enough for 50 people.
Wow.
It's a massive, massive cake. If you can get it, there we go. Can you see?
Yeah.
It's just huge. He had said, like, this cake is really expensive. Now we know why. He bought an insanely large cake. I guess we're having cake for Christmas the 3rd.
You're just gonna have cake
New
for dinner and dessert.
I know. I'm gonna have to bring some over to you. Is what I can do.
Hmm.
All right. So we're at.
AC Rithel says happy birth week.
Thank you. All right. So November.
And to do another rewind,
Yes.
we also forgot talk about live service flops. I believe it was in March that the pirate game Skull and Bones came out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would have been such a good game if they hadn't made it live service.
Uh-huh.
That was just
No,
such
that
a
was also February. Man, February just stacked with the flops.
just sucked all over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
between Skull and Bones, Suicide Squad, Concord, it has just been brutal for
Yeah.
new
February
live
was a
service.
bad month. All right, but November. The big news, really only one. Take-Two sold Private Division to a mystery investor, which that was the month that I found out that Larry Ellison's daughter runs
Oh yeah.
Take-Two.
No, not Take-Two. It was the
Private
indie Annapurna.
Annapurna. That's right, Annapurna. That she runs Annapurna. Like, she runs it like her dad was a millionaire.
Yeah,
She was entitled.
she got a
Other-
lot of money from her
let's
dad.
just
Was like,
say
you know what? I want to make a movie.
Possibly
studio."
had, possibly graduated from USC, let's just say.
Look, you know what? If my dad was a billionaire, I would totally start a movie studio.
Absolutely. would start a movie studio.
100%, I would
Yeah.
start a movie
Yep.
studio.
And I would run it like it was a movie, like my own personal playground. But yeah, November, really only one big announcement, and that was when Private Division was sold by Take-Two to a still an unspecified mystery investor. Still don't know who it is. All right, so we are now at our current month to date. So keep in mind, we still have 9 days left of the month. Let's see where you're at.
Metaphor.
Metaphor, of course.
Another 30 hours so far.
30 of 31
probably-
hours.
Look, I have time off. That number is going to skyrocket.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Uh-oh, Nick's going to sneeze. Right?
Something in my eye.
Oh, okay. Now, for me, you want to make a guess?
Dragon Age. It's got to be Dragon Age.
Astrobot! All of 1
What?
hour.
So wait. That means you have not played Dragon Age at all this month.
No. I started playing
Diablo 4.
Diablo 4 and have been
Ah.
playing Diablo 4 for many hours since then.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have touched nothing in December but Diablo 4 and 1 hour of Astrobot to show Chris Astrobot. But we are going to play Path of Exile too. I've just been advised.
So are you going to go back to Dragon Age, or have you kind
I
of
am
fallen off
absolutely
it?
going to go back to Dragon Age. Believe you me. That's
Okay. So
absolutely
it's
a thing.
okay. You're still into it.
Huh? Oh, it's everybody. Yeah.
Tell them what I said about Astrobot.
What did you say about Astrobot?
This one game of the year just shows you how lousy 2024 was for games.
Did you hear what he said?
What did he say? It
He
won Game of
said,
the
if Astrobot won Game of the Year, it just shows you how lousy 2024 was for video games. Wait, hold on a second. Let me put this on speaker so he can hear this because I know you have some opinions about that. Let me take this off the screen so we can see the stunned look on your face. I am about to transfer you over to speaker. Go ahead, Nick. Give us your opinion. You're literally speechless about what he just said, right?
Chris, you hate fun. You hate fun. You're just an anti-fun hater. Oh wait, you're muted, Edie. Edie, I
He
can't
says
hear
you are
you.
anti-fun. He says you are a fun hater and that you're absolutely wrong. And unfortunately, because of the nature of what I have set up, I cannot switch you over to, for some reason. Maybe.
Speaker. That's okay. That's okay.
Hold on a second. No. I can do this. I can.
I don't think she did it, chat. I don't think she
I
actually
have
did
made
it.
a horrible decision.
Mm.
Mistakes were made. Okay, it's under settings. Sorry, under settings, audio.
Is your camera working?
Yeah, my
Because I
camera
just
should be
see
working.
I just see a black screen.
Really? You just see a black screen? You're not seeing my camera?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's odd because it is definitely here.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. All right, hold on a second. Speakers. We are putting the speakers over. All right, now, Nick, you should be able to talk to Chris.
Why do you hate fun?
I like that, but let me tell you, if Diablo 4 came out this year, would it have won?
No.
Okay, if Baldur's Gate 3 had come out this year, would it have won?
Probably, yeah.
If the original Elden Ring came out this year, would it have won?
Probably, yeah.
No, it was a bad year.
If Elden Ring came out?
This year.
This year.
Yeah,
He says
it
if Elden Ring
absolutely-
came out this year.
Yeah, it would have won because it's a great game.
Right. So compared to the last few years, it's rather weak.
No, because I think it's spread out more. Astrobot is really, really fun. And what's even better is it's a kind of reinvention and refreshment of a genre that you just don't see much anymore. Like platformers. You don't see those anymore. Black Myth Wukong, I think, is an excellent evolution of like the Souls-like formula where it takes the level design of a Souls-like game, but the combat of something like God of War and mixes it together in something really, really cool. I think Elden Ring could learn from Black Myth Wukong. I think FromSoft could. Metaphor is a fantastic game. Like all these games are great. Instead of like having one big game that sucks the oxygen out of everything else, I think we've had a lot of little surprises that have emerged up. I don't think it's been a bad year for games. I think it's been great. It's just that, yeah, like I said, you haven't had that one big thing that overtakes everything, but that makes it a more exciting year because you don't know what's coming.
A bad year for epic video games. How about that?
I mean, I thought Black Myth Wukong was pretty epic. That game is fucking awesome.
Eh,
Metaphor is a grand democracy simulator, very different than Helldivers. How is Helldivers not epic?
Helldivers was epic. He would disagree, but Helldivers was epic.
Oh my god.
Helldivers was what?
last year.
Helldivers was no.
Yeah.
Was Helldivers last year?
No, it was this year.
No, it was this year.
Oh, how come it didn't even get nominated? It was popular.
It did get nominated.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it won
Astrobot
best
beat it.
multiplayer.
I don't know.
It won best
But
multiplayer.
then again, Helldivers 2, it is pretty generic, kind of game like that.
But it was supported really well. It was the artifice of it, and it was a well-made live service game.
Helldivers 2 is an example of it's something Ebert said about movies. Like it's not what your movie's about, it's about how it's about what it's about. You can have something simple like Helldivers 2. You're just going around shooting bugs, but it's all the little things around it. It's about how it controls. It's about how your gun is a little bit wonky when you're running, and so there's a little bit of chaos within the design and the mechanics that elevates that game beyond just a simple point and shoot.
I have a very smart co-host, huh? He's much better at this than I am.
But you know what? About 2024, that's when they revealed Perfect Dark.
It's true. That's the best thing about 2024.
That's right. We didn't mention that. That was
That's
not
right.
in the news.
The big reveal of Perfect Dark, which apparently is going to be the game of the year at some point in the future that I have no idea when it is.
2020,
don't wanna know.
25, 25.
I
26?
don't want to know.
27?
Don't care. Won't even
28?
speculate.
Will Perfect Dark be out before Elder Scrolls 6?
I have amnesia. What the hell is Perfect Dark? I've never heard of it.
Will it be out before Elder Scrolls 6? Will it be out before Winds of Winter?
Nope. Will it be coming out before I get? Yes, it'll come out before Winds of Winter. I will say that.
Also, Goalie's in the chat and says the only thing better than a show without Nick is a show without
Oh,
me.
fuck off. Fuck off, Goalie. I hate you. You suck. I hate my previous podcast hosts. You guys are all dicks.
Your screen is still black.
I'm
by
going
the
back
way.
into my headset now.
Okay.
All right, now I can hear you. Can you see my screen?
No.
Really?
Did you like unplug something?
No, I stopped my camera and my mic, and I restarted the camera. Let me see. Camera.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
Let's try that then.
No.
Stop.
Now you can see what a mess the office is. Oh, there you are.
Okay, I just need to turn it off and on again. You're right.
Okay.
All right. So, in news, December, Astrobot was my Astrobot meets everybody at the Game Awards.
Yep.
And the final item for December, which is news, actual news that we're talking about today. Let me go and pull this up.
Ooh. HRA says Perfect Dog is a first-person game, which means I can't play it. Plus, it's based on an N64 game, which means it had crap controls.
Yeah,
To
but
be fair, he's talking about the N64 version.
right, N64 game. I think that they will be updating the controls, and I think that that's not. I mean, that's obvious. They're going to be updating the controls. The whole game is going to be updated. It's not going to be the same game at all. But the big news in December, Sony this week announced it is forming a strategic alliance with From Software's parent company, Katakawa. Katakawa Corporation. It's going to become Katakawa's biggest investor with a more than 10% share. They actually called it a, quote, strategic capital and business alliance agreement. It's going to be seeing Sony acquire 12 million new shares of Katakawa on January 7th. It's going to be for around $318 million or 50 billion yen. When you add those new shares into what Sony already owns in From Software, they're going to make up about 10% of the company. They already own 14% of From Software. So they own 14% of From Software plus 10% of the parent company of From Software.
Okay.
And the agreement does go beyond the sale of shares. The two companies are planning to work together in a future number of joint projects. Now, remember, Katakawa is not just From Software; it's also anime and television, a bunch of other things.
Yeah. Like a couple weeks ago, when there were rumors about this, I was seeing a lot of people speculating that, sure, they want to invest in From Software, but really, this is about Sony's monopoly on anime.
Oh no! See, now you have your cat. Now I have the massive. This.
Oh, but my cat's.
You call that a cat? This is a cat. And no, that is not a Jesus, he's huge. That's not an optical illusion. That cat's head is almost as big as my head.
It's a huge ass
He's
cat.
he's absolutely huge. So,
Yeah, that this is like about Sony's monopoly with anime and kind of just furthering that.
yes,
And From Software is just kind of like bonus gravy.
right, and it's bonus gravy. And on top of that, Sony is a movie company. Katakawa does not have a movie arm to it. So one of the things that they're talking about as far as a joint project is adapting some of Katakawa's IP into live action films and TV dramas.
Okay.
It will also be co-producing some anime works and expanding the publishing edition for both Katakawa's anime and video games.
Okay.
So Sony had already said that they were interested in acquiring Katakawa entirely. So this is kind of like a happy medium for both of them. Katakawa is going to stay as its own company, but it's just got it's a handshake between maybe not equals but sort of equals. I think personally that that Sony said, "We want to buy you." Katakawa said no, and so they're like, "Well,
you're like, we can
how about
offer
we just
you
take
a
a
lot.
little piece of you?"
Sony's like,
And
look, man,
we'll take
we've
another
got this
little
movie
piece of you
studio
later, and a little piece of you
We-
later, and it's slowly going to be creep until they do own Katakawa. They're going to play the long game on this one because
I
Katakawa's
could believe that.
great IP. I believe they have Fruits Basket and a bunch of other things that would be fantastic. Fantastic live action. Holy shit,
That'd be good.
fantastic live
Look,
action.
Sony has to do something now that the Spider-Verse has fizzled out.
The Spider-Verse fizzled out, and that they are now up against Xbox that owns outright some massive studios with some massive hits.
Although
And right now, Microsoft is saying, "Oh, we'll share, we'll publish on your platform." It's like
So-
they don't want to be in a position where somebody else is publishing on their platform.
I do think this gets into like a lot of it. Maybe this like kind of gets into speculation for the future.
Right.
I kind of joked that the Spider-Verse universe fizzled out, but Sony Studios as a movie studio has actually done pretty well this year, betting on mid-budget movies instead of all the big blockbusters kind of flopped.
Mhm.
All the Madam Web and Craven, but their mid-budget stuff has largely been really successful.
Speaking of studios, and we'll just kind of sort of end on this because we are now like almost an hour past when I said I wanted to stop.
Yeah.
A5 Studios, holy shit, did they own the last 2 months of the year? Do you realize
A24?
Was it A5 or A4?
A24?
No, not 824.
A5. I don't know
A5.
A5.
Is it Studios? No, was it God, who?
A24 did I think they published Anora or produced Anora, Heretic,
Yes.
Hereditary. They're like the
Yes. I thought it was somebody else. Maybe, yeah. Anyway, that studio, it's like every movie that I went to in the end of like the last 2 months have all been from that same studio, and it's like
they're a very good producer.
They're
they do good stuff.
They're not just good; they're prolific.
Yeah.
This year. So anyway, just was kind of an side note. All right.
But what I was saying, and
Yeah.
what I'll make it fast. Microsoft did buy a bunch of stuff. They have a whole bunch of studios, but I still feel like as a company, they're not used to it. They spent so long not having games, they don't know how to release games. And I say that because by all accounts, Indiana Jones is great.
Yeah.
But they put it out on December 9th. They just dumped it into like the least noticeable part of the year. And it feels like they didn't really know what to do with it. And it's like, even when they have this great quality product, they kind of bungled the release date in a way that feels like it's really undercutting that game.
Right.
Meanwhile, Sony puts, even in a year that like before 2024, in 2023, they had announced we're not going to have any sequels to big budget games. We're not going to have a Ghost of Tsushima sequel. We're not going to have Last of Us sequel. No God of War. We're not going to have a big sequel. even with that, they put out Astrobot, and it did really well for them. So it still feels like Sony kind of understands how to release games, but I've heard rumors that both companies are kind of thinking about and working on handhelds. And I would say, if we're going to make predictions, I would say like the next 5 to 10 years, the next console cycle will be defined by handhelds.
All right.
Because what you see with the PS Pro is that there's very clearly a limit to what you get from consoles now,
Yeah.
right? The graphical increase is practically non-existent, but in order to get that non-existent increase, you have to charge people even more, and like that's just a lot of money to ask for people. But at the same time, stuff like the Switch, the popularity of the Steam Deck, and the Rogue Ally proves that there is an audience for mobile gaming that's not phone mobile. And I
Right.
think this helps that we're entering a generation is now coming of age into the like 20s and 30s that grew up with mobile phones and playing on mobile phones. They're used to tiny screens. So you can take those things
Yeah.
and make a bigger, more expensive, more graphically interesting version of the phone. And so I think handhelds are kind of the future of consoles.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. And I think we're going to see that sooner than the next generation. I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see that in 2025, maybe early 2026.
I mean, you definitely see it. Sony put out the PlayStation Portal. That like at first people were upset that you could only play it over Wi-Fi, but then they release an update that allows you to play it outside of your Wi-Fi home. And so like they're trying to create in the same way that the PSVR was like a hodgepodge mix of old devices. They used like the iToy camera. They kind of Frankenstein together this this VR set. The PlayStation Portal feels like them trying to Frankenstein together a handheld device.
Right. Right.
And I think depending on how well that goes, they might make an actual handheld device.
I think they might.
Maybe it'll be successful. Maybe it will go the way of the PSVR 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think the PSVR 2 is a really cool device, and I'm glad that I have it, even if it was financially irresponsible and a
It was
poor
financial, and I'm
business
still
decision.
not against. I really wish that the PSVR 2 had gone on a screaming sale this year. It really should have.
It did. It was like $300 for the headset and the game, which is like half off.
Yeah, maybe I didn't know about it, but then they didn't advertise it enough because
Probably not.
I probably would have bought a PSVR this year because I just kind of
Well,
want to have it.
if you come over for New Year's, I'll
Yeah.
hook it up and you can check out like the eye tracking and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. Deal.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else before we close out the show? Now, as far as a next show, if there is going to be a next show, and that is a big if because a lot can happen between today and tomorrow, it would be December 29th, just before the new year. We will announce it on the Discord. If you don't hear from us on the Discord, assume that we are not doing a show.
Yes, and I do think we'll probably do a stream within the next 2 weeks. I really want to play a game of Phasmophobia with you and Andrew.
Right. And I agree. And there's our Discord address right there. Go ahead and join that Discord and be there. We will announce it when we do a stream because we will do a stream. And if we do a show, we will announce it there as well.
Yeah.
But if you don't hear from either one of us, assume no show. And I am now going to go up, take a shower, maybe play some Diablo for my birthday, and then I'm going to go have pastrami.
No, you can't have pastrami. You have cake to eat.
I have a lot of cake to eat. I have
You'll log off and have some cake. You'll take a
No,
shower
I
and then have some cake. Then you'll have some pastrami and then have some cake. And then you'll have some cake and then have some cake.
There's 4 people in this house, 2 of which are diabetic. And that is a massive, massive cake that after I may show up at your house tomorrow with like a quarter of cake.
God.
Because there's just no way that we could finish that all.
Just gonna leave it on my doorstep.
No, fun fact, here's, word of the wise. If you can go home, this is my best advice for 2024. If you order a cake and it seems a lot more expensive than it should be, you should double check the size of the cake you got.
Mm. AC Ray says the cake is the
The
truth.
truth. This cake is very much not a lie.
Mm-mm.
So I will tell you all about it probably later on a stream. But yes, Phasmophobia, you, me, maybe we could. I don't want Chris anywhere near me with Phasmophobia. I don't want him. I don't want him to
I think
see
that
it.
would be. I think that'd be cool.
I think he would do nothing but torture me the entire time.
He can buy it on Steam, and we can do crossplay. It's all available.
I'm probably going to be playing it on Steam here.
That's
So,
fine. Yeah.
All right. So at the end of the year, first off, and also my birthday, you tend to look back on the year that you've had. I want to say I am thankful for every single one of you, not only that are listening on the podcast on iTunes, but also if you were in the chat. Thank you for being in the chat. I am thankful for every single one of you, including you, Goalie. And I'm especially thankful for AC Wraith, our link bitch, who in so many ways, so many times this year, you have been the thing that kept me coming back here. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes it was just you in the chat. And the thing is, that was enough. You alone were enough for me to be here and not say, I just want to sleep in. You saw what my gaming did, right? It didn't go away, the podcasting. And there's the reason why.
Mm,
It's you guys. You kept me coming back and you will always keep me coming back. So
Yeah.
once again,
and I want to thank the people from Discord who aren't always in the podcast chat. Ezio Helsing posts a lot in there.
Yep.
Jaeger posts a lot in there. AC Wraith too, you post a lot in there. Thank you. And yeah, everyone who's in the Discord who might not be like watch week to week. Mr. Maynard posts in there.
Maynard. Yeah. Lots of people that are still in there. So thank you, all of you, for being with the community, even though, and I know a lot of you are actually listening on iTunes now because we're posting it. So again, thank you. You've been, a lot of you have been with us the entire, let's see, 2008. So we're looking at what, 14, 15 years now, going on 16 years, or is it going on 17 years? So a lot of you have been with us the entire 17 years. And whether you are new, whether you just started listening, or whether you've been an old guard from the beginning, thank you. And we hope to continue to do more. And I'm going to try and endeavor to do a lot more this year, because after a bunch of years of my feet getting kicked out from underneath me, I'm starting to feel that I got legs again. So we're going to be doing a lot more with the show and with the podcast and with you guys. So thank you. And AC Wraith has good news. His guitar blade switch might actually be wired correctly. So when you get that all wired and done, you're doing new GameHounds title music, right? For us? Yes, as a reminder, if you want to see our show, the actual posting of where it is, it's there on Libsyn. But of course, you can always go to iTunes under GameHounds Podcast. I believe it's actually GameHounds Live Podcast or GameHounds Podcast. You'll find us. And yes, I am posting the shows pretty regularly now. All right. So that being said, is there anything else before we close out the show?
No.
All right.
I think it was a really good year for games.
I think
it turned out pretty cool.
Despite what some people might say, I agree. I think it was a very good year for games.
Yeah.
All right. So let's close this out. Episode 769. We did record this on Sunday, December 22nd, 2024. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nicola. Ways to get a hold of us is gamehounds.net for our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS is the videos, and on Twitch, we are the GameHounds. If you have listened or watched at all during this, if you haven't, go on and hit a like, a thumbs up, subscribe. do all those different like locations, go do that right now. It makes a massive difference. Very few times that a single person can change the trajectory of things. This is one of those times. So as a birthday present to me, go do that right now. We are 100% Patreon funded. Thank you so much to all of our patrons. If you would like to become a patron, $1 a month is all we ask to help pay for a lot of the services that we have to pay monthly service for in order to do this and that down there and this over here and that stuff you can't see. All of that costs a little bit of money. It adds up. So thank you so much for the $1 a month. All we ask. Patreon.com/GameHounds to fund. Also, our Discord. Do not forget our Discord. I've mentioned it before. There is our Discord address at the bottom of the screen. If you want to find it and you're listening to the podcast, you can probably go to the podcast page or go to GameHounds.net. That's where our Discord sign up is. Join our Discord. As Nick said, most of our community who isn't in this actual show is in the Discord. It's also where we make announcements when we're going to go live or stream, or if we're going to have a show, or if we're not going to have a show, or whatever's happening. Go to the Discord. I guess that's it. Nick, have a fantastic 596 hours. Well done. Have a fantastic new
Fund
year.
my addiction.
Fund his addiction. Have a fantastic New Year. Nick, have a fantastic Christmas. Merry,
You too.
Merry. And I hope,
Merry.
I wish you the very best for 2024. For you, for Nick, for all our listeners. Take care. And we'll talk to you in 2025. Goodbye, everyone. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy whatever. Happy Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah, same.
Bye.